Welcome, NASCAR fans from far and wide around the globe. I know you're here. You're all excited to hear what the Chain Gang has to say on this Monday evening about the NASCAR race we witnessed firsthand in person at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was the sixth installment of the Roval, and we rovaled hard, as we are obliged to do. And Checky rode down there with me. Willy met us there. He slingshotted right on down. And yeah, we got good times and great things to talk about from the race weekend. T-Bone, Willy, Hadley, you out there tonight?
Oh, I'm out here. I'm fresh out of Miller Lights. I'm drinking whiskey out of a paper cup.
Nice. Now,
so we don't no now tonight.
Now, when you drink whiskey out of a paper cup, Willy, you don't put no ice in it, do you?
Hell no. Ice is for pussies.
All right. I don't know what kitty cats have to do with this, but maybe we'll figure that out later. Checky Swags, you were my riding partner yesterday.
Ride or die, Hoppy.
How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. I have a surprisingly decent amount of energy considering I had a very adventurous sports weekend, capping it off with our awesome trip to the Roval. Yeah, it was awesome. I can't wait to dish on all the great things that were going on this weekend and all the drama that we expected to unfold and then what did not. So yeah, good stuff. I'm ready.
Well, being the good race season ticket holder that I am, I filled out my Charlotte Motor Speedway fan survey promptly today, which I got to say, these surveys that these tracks send out, I get why they want feedback from fans, but ain't nobody wants to keep going through that survey when it's 4 pages long. And
you don't get to write a whole lot of stuff. You get to choose, right? Because they want to know what you think, but you don't get a lot of
yeah,
y'all need to do this, y'all need to do that. They probably honestly don't want to hear what most fans think about shit because they'll have some crazy ideas Willy does.
Yeah.
Did they ask you about the cautions? Did they FCC want stage breaks back?
I was looking for that question, Willy, and I didn't find it. So I figured out a way to write it in because they did ask, what was your favorite thing about this event? And I said, stage cautions to the rescue.
I hate to admit it. I did not want the stage cautions back, but it did make it better. I hate to admit it.
Now, will Checky actually tell the truth and admit it as well as the question? Checky, where you at on this?
So here's the thing. I was fine with them. And I actually don't remember I do remember feeling a little bit okay, y'all need to speed this up. It's taken too long, right? And my issue is not, I liked what I saw at Indy. I liked no stage breaks because I liked the strategy. And I'm sorry if y'all, maybe the commercial at home comes at a bad time. I get it. It's just the broadcast. It's not the quality of the product on the track. I will die on that sword. But when it comes to the stage breaks, if we're going to have them, they don't need to be crazy long, wasting our green flag laps because we know that road courses are shorter anyway, lap wise. They're shorter races, more compact. They could at least be mindful, and then you could win someone like me over a little bit more easily. That's where I will compromise to a point.
Now, didn't we already have the idea of how to solve this problem, Checky? Didn't we already solve this? Because, and I don't know if Willy heard this idea,
we
but
did.
I'm pretty sure
we were talking about it on the way down.
Yeah, no, this is a winner, Willy. You're gonna like this one. Here's the solution to the caution laps that occur for too long during the stages. You just make
sure you give both versions because we had the soccer version first and then we tweaked it a little. So make sure you give the full story.
Soccer rules, they add time at the end.
That's right. You just take the laps from the stage cautions and you tack it right on to the end of stage 3. What do you think, Willy?
But then you don't even know how many miles the race is going to be.
Yeah, no. How many, that way you have a planned number of laps for the race that just doesn't include the stage cautions.
So what you're saying is, you say, well, this race would have been 109 laps, but it's going to be 114 because we we giving you 5 bonus laps.
That's right. See, I feel like you just keep getting more things.
But you know what Marcus could also say? It was going to be 104, but I gave you 5 bonus laps.
I like the idea of just tacking it on, because then, like, it doesn't matter if they take a little bit of time. You just know that you're getting it back at the end. Now, Checky, what was the modified version? Was it do it at the end?
Even you could just kind of run them. Let's just go back.
Did we lose? Did we lose Checky? Checky, are you back?
Stage 1 green and white flag after.
I can't decide if it's her dongle or if it's bumfuck Egypt internet.
What Checky was trying to say is that there was an alternate version where you take the laps from the end of stage 1 and then you tack them onto the end of the stage 2, and then you take the laps from the end of stage 2 and you tack them onto the end of stage 3. So they're not all at the end of stage 3. But that might just be splitting hairs. The important thing would be to add those laps. We're going to file that in the NASCAR suggestions file because
or timed races. How about I said just do 45, 90 minutes. Fuck it.
Yeah, that is one option. Checky, are you back on audio?
You're killing me.
No, we got you. You're good.
We got you now.
Please stabbing me in my heart and twisting it, Willie. Stop.
Hey, it's not my fault you damn living bumfuck.
I like this.
What?
Checky, I like the Willy drinking whiskey out of a paper cup. We don't get that Willy often enough, I don't think. So
you know what happened? My daughter said she listened to an episode. She said I need to talk more.
Yeah.
So,
it's because you sit around your house getting all tired and mopey, Willy.
So I'm gonna try to talk more.
You need some of that truth serum.
Yeah, I need more. I need to get some paper cups for the house for put some whiskey in.
Yeah, quit opening up Sprite Zeros. Checky, what you got?
I don't know.
She thought she had something. All right, the show must move along, folks. So, stage cautions were clearly a good thing. Anybody that tells you otherwise is cray, because the stage cautions, I mean, you had so many. Here's one of the interesting things I thought, Willy, which was if on that stage 1 caution strategy, I think the person who played that the very best at that point in the race was Christopher Bell, because he was running second, but he went ahead and pitted. But because they had worked up such a big lead out front, he didn't lose that much track position. He ended up finishing stage 1 in 5th place and getting 5 points. So he only gave up three or 4 points. That's totally worth it. Totally. Yeah. I took note of that. I told Checky too, he was the one that really nailed it on that stage 1 strategy and I hadn't really thought that through, but that's totally true. Like if you're out towards the front in the top 3 and it's really strung out, you should absolutely pit there ahead of the stage break, because you just get the pit stop done and you don't incur the penalty. Willy?
I'm slightly confused with what you're saying. I mean, if he pitted before the stage break, he would have the people that are trying to get points. So at least 10 cars would have passed him trying to get points.
No, that's just it. I mean, I think Truex. Where did he come? Truex finished 4th, I believe, in the first.
Maybe being after they pitted, after the people that are trying to get stage points pitted, he came out 5th. Maybe. No, I'm telling you, Christopher Bell finished 5th in stage 1 with his pit stop because he was so far ahead of the other cars. I need to see the data on this. That doesn't make sense.
It's because there's the other cars. There were also other cars in the top 10 at the time that pitted. So he only had to come out ahead of the cars that kept on the track. But he was so far ahead of those cars on the track already from running that whole stage 1 that he didn't lose much track position. So that was the cheat code.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah. Checky, you saw it.
Remember. Yes, and I do remember a conversation about that. And yeah, just solid. Not helpful for me in my pick, but good for him.
Yeah. Now, it didn't end up panning out to be Christopher Bell's race, but I thought they were in a great position along with a few other cars that accomplished something similar. Now, I've been complaining and moaning for the past several weeks about Truex's team not prioritizing stage points, and I was actually really happy to see that in stage one, he did stay out and brought it home in fourth and got those stage points banked. I think he finished third or fourth. I can't remember which, but in that stage. And yes, he did come back out in the high 20s. But you got to take those points in front of you as they're available, because he was able to stay out again at the end of stage two and claim another 3 or 4 points, finishing, I think, seventh or something like that in stage two, even though he was not running there at all, but was able to still do that. So I think he collected 12 or so stage points when it was all said and done. And for a little while, he was only up over the cut line by 12 points. So I think, you don't know how these races are going to play out and what's going to happen, but that was really key that Truex did play it that way, especially because it seemed like his car really was not just doing a lot passing wise. I don't know that I saw him actually pass many people except for when he had fresh tires a couple times, and then that was about it. In fact, there was not a whole lot of passing going on in general. I would say there was a few guys who could make some passes or coming from the back a little bit, but not a ton of passing. Obviously, Allmendinger was able to work his way around some folks. Checky, I was meant to ask you this on the ride back, but I forgot. Did you notice how Allmendinger was setting up the passes in front of us there, where we were sitting in turn one and we were watching the cars come out of the infield and through that little downhill portion and wrap around 8 there?
Turn 8.
Is turn 8 the last turn up onto the banking?
Yeah, turn 8's the one going on to the NASCAR 1.
Okay, so then I'm talking about like one turn back from that. Did you guys notice what Dinger was doing?
7, I guess.
That whole stretch, there was a lot. If you're obviously you want to pay attention to whoever you want to pay attention to, but there is so much good action to watch there in terms of who's taking up what lane, who's trying to nudge. You can see cars that are really coming in hot to those corners and have every intention of kind of diving in there and out braking and moving even a little bit. There was actually a more contact, not at 7, but at 8 there, where they come onto the true one than I had maybe anticipated. There were a lot of cars that were a little squirrely even in those S's prior to that real turn 1. So there was a lot. Again, I don't know if the intricacies carried over to the television broadcast, but as far as the viewing in person, I was very pleased with all of the action that we were able to see from our seats. We have great seats. So good job again, Hoppy, on those.
Yeah. Now, so did you notice what move Dinger was actually using to be able to complete passes or make passes as they were getting back up onto the oval turn 1 part of the track? Did you see how he was setting it up? I actually hadn't seen anyone do it exactly this way before. Did you notice?
I did, but I guess I expect him to race a little differently than others. You know what I mean? I felt like I could even notice that. Granted, my vantage point wasn't quite as good, but from the backside when they're coming off of true turn 4 and they come down on the chicane there, which doesn't appear to be dramatic, but there's still a good bit of work that they can do leading up into the turn 1 of the road course when they head back into the infield. So I feel like it's just, even from a little further distance, I feel like you can get a really good feel for, again, who's coming in. You can sense who's going to make the moves. Where is he braking? Where is he going to try to, accelerate? It's just awesome stuff. And he's fun to watch.
Oh, he is. So what he had figured out, Willy, I don't know if you noticed this, but he was actually coming through there where the cars would start to face us, basically, as they come in front of us. He was trying to get to the right side quarter panel of the car he was trying to pass, meaning that he was out of position for the next set of turns to come back towards the track. But what that does was puts the other car in a position where they're now a lane down. So now that other car can't take the same wide entry to that next set of 7 and 8 turns back onto the track. And he was purposely, getting on the outside of them to affect their entry, then backing out of it early, crossing them up, cutting under with the wider arc run that other car now couldn't get because he was on their outside. And that's how he was getting alongside them through 7 and 8 there. And it was pretty masterful to see how he was purposely setting that up when he was passing cars, because like at previous times when I've watched Chase Elliott work people over through there, he was just faster through the whole section, and he would just work the throttle and brake differently and then just get under the guy coming through 7 and 8. But you couldn't, the passing was so hard, you couldn't actually make the pass that way unless the car in front of you just was way slower, which usually it isn't. And so Allmendinger figured out sort of this 2-step maneuver to get the other car out of position. Really cool. Willie, did you notice that?
I did not notice that, but when I watched if I watch the replay back, I'll look for it.
Okay.
So, well, Hoppy, I'm kind of hoping that you didn't just totally take away AJ's advantage on road courses. So if any drivers listening to this podcast to get your hot take, Hoppy's let it out of the bag. Sorry, AJ, our bad.
Yep. It was brilliant. And I, as much as I want to see drama and entertainment and all that stuff, I got to give, Dinger the credit. And hey, man, he's an exciting person to watch win a race because of how much it means to him. And, just him getting real emotional. And I come to find out and listening to the podcasts, Teardown and Denny Hamlin's earlier today, that, there's some question whether Dinger's going to even be back in the Cup Series next year, which I don't think would have surprised me at all if they said, hey, he did 2 years and now he's moving back to Xfinity where he was comfortable. This could be, Dinger's final sort of hurrah as a full-time Cup driver, and I think that could be why the emotion was that much stronger, not to mention it was his first victory as a dad, I believe, as well.
Right. He has his new baby, and he wanted to keep the flag to wrap him in it. Like, I hope he put us out a cute baby photo with that, because that would be adorable.
And did he get Pocahontas Preggers? What kind of name is Arrow?
Arrow? Come on, man. That's
the damn kid's name.
Yeah, but that's got to be one of the better racing names that I've heard of that's not played out like Chase.
I don't know.
What do you want to name the kid? Burnt Rubber? What the hell you want to name him?
Figuratively and literally, I don't know about that one. That's rough.
Fred, I don't know. Something.
Fred.
Well, it's a been an interesting year for AJ Allmendinger that I want to touch on for just a minute, because I had pretty much written him off for road courses after seeing how poor that team performed on road courses earlier this year. And I guess I was forgetting the fact that Dinger has won 4 straight Xfinity races on the Roval, which is pretty crazy. It seems like that shouldn't even be possible just from getting unlucky, much less, all the other stuff. So he clearly is very good at the Roval, and I don't know why we haven't seen him be more of a factor at the Roval in the past. I guess technically this is probably only his second time running the Cup Roval. I don't know if he ran it. Maybe he ran it as a one-off 3 years ago, but he must not have had the same number of Cup attempts at the Roval. I'd have to look that up, but yeah, they clearly gave him something to go win with, and he passed inspection, didn't get DQ'd. And let's talk about those final restarts. It seemed like we must have had at least 4 restarts there, 4 or 5, with Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs right up there, and Dinger. At one point, or initially, Dinger wasn't even, in the lead, but he raced his way into the lead once or twice, and then he had the lead, and he kept trying to fend off the advances from Gibbs and from Busch. Willie, what level of apeshit would you have gone if Kyle Busch had actually roughed up Allmendinger and taken that lead?
Well, he about tried to. He spun the tires and came up into him. He did the same thing that Swervez did. Mm-hmm. That's the way they made that restart zone. The second place car, he just can't get traction and it slides into the damn first place, which I like. I guess it's maximum chaos, but it's kind of dumb to have a restart zone in a turn like that.
Yeah, that was actually the other thing I was going to say is what the hell is up with the restart zone? I mean, I understand, what they're trying to do, but I don't.
Just change it back. Is one being a clusterfuck is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Like, And so where I couldn't even actually tell, and I didn't look this up exactly where they had the restart zone position, but it looked like it was within the chicane.
Right.
Yeah,
or
it literally is.
It's basically the chicane.
It's at the beginning of the right turn of the chicane.
Yeah. So what the hell's, and where does it cut off? Because the leader gets
at the end, like where it comes back onto the main track.
So the leader going through the chicane gets to decide when to start the race.
Yeah, they make that right turn and just take off, and then the guy on the second place car tries to go with him, and he just ends up turning and spinning the tires and then usually can't go and hit him.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't start it back in the middle of the oval 3 and 4 because then they just all charge right down into that chicane to start the race. So that doesn't work either.
No, they just skipped it. That's what the first 7 years they just skipped the first chicane on the restart.
That's right. They just skipped the first chicane. That's right. They did do that. Yeah, I forgot.
That's the way to go. The problem was they would end up going faster into one than they had when they normally. So they would, as a group, they would fuck it up.
Yeah. So why can't they just start the race going through the chicane and let some of the people that are more in the back be the ones that are having to go green in the chicane? Yeah, I feel like the first several rows should be up off of the chicane before they start the race.
Nah, they had it right in 18. Just go back to the original.
Yeah.
Or maybe if they're going too fast for one, just move it closer to one, to where they're going about as fast as they normally are.
Right. Or what if they started it back on the back straightaway, or something like that?
They're not going to do that. They're going to want to put that where people can see it.
Yeah. Well, they need to keep working on that. Although. Now, this brings us to yet another point, which is, of course, now I don't want to get into the whole schedule discussion yet. We're going to have that in a minute. But on the new 2024 schedule that came out, it came out saying Charlotte Road Course. And people are already complaining, saying they thought that our time with the Roval had come to an end and that it's time to go back to the Oval for the fall, since the Oval racing's been good at Charlotte in the new car. So I have a theory on this of what we're going to see here, which is that Marcus Smith is a smart businessman, and any smart businessman would not want a major change like that to his track being revealed just with a bunch of other shit in the schedule as sort of like a side note. So it's definitely in the best interest of Charlotte to say, yeah, we're doing Roval, and then to, at some point here towards the end of the year, possibly, or possibly at the very start of next year, go ahead and announce we're going to the Oval in the fall. Get your tickets now. So I think
don't like it. Nope.
I think that's what we're going to see, is that there'll be continued criticism of that Roval race, and that's how we're going to, and that's why it looks like right now there's 2 road courses in the final 10. But I think we're going to see Watkins Glen in the final 10, obviously, now, but back to Charlotte Oval. But they want to sell tickets, y'all.
I think you're wrong.
You think?
They're not going to. That's some bait and switch crap.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we're going to see. Now, I like watching the Roval. I thought it was nice to see that this year's Roval race did have more action in it. Because last year was definitely a low point. But the prior Roval races received good ratings. I think we just had one that was pretty uneventful last year. So although stage 1 of this one was very uneventful, so it's a good thing the stage cautions were there to save us.
It was with Joy started all that crap.
Yeah.
When he took out whoever it was, Balicki, and then screwed over Chase.
Chase, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that caution was right at the end of stage 2, and that kept Chase Elliott from being able to dive on pit road right there, because they had waited till the very last lap for the chance to pit. If they had pitted just one lap sooner, they would have.
Well, they were the leader, so they were the one that decided when it started.
Right.
Well, what decided when what started?
Well, if you're the leader, you can be the first one. You can be the last one because it's 2 laps the pit road closes 2 laps before the stage breaks, but that's based on the leader, where the leader is.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that, but it seemed like there wasn't much of an advantage to waiting until the very last chance.
You save your tires for the next stage.
Yeah, but 1 lap. I mean, I guess it's easy to.
1 lap's a lot.
It's always easy to criticize Alan Gustafson after the fact. So I will say I was a little bit happy that happened, just because I was not interested in cheering for Chase Elliott at all, and that kind of took him out of the running for the win at that point. He had gotten himself into a good spot. More power to him. But, that didn't work out. And then Ty Gibbs. We know he's a good road course racer, but he freaking was acting like he was almost going to get up there and take the lead at a couple points. And I'm really glad to see he didn't lose his mind and cause a wreck or do something that would otherwise reflect poorly on him. Checky, my question for you is, does Ty Gibbs break through and get his first Cup win in 2024? Do you see that in the cards for him?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. I feel like although he's shown flares of being a hothead in the previous seasons, right? I feel like he's really done well to kind of know his place, so to speak. Like, yes, he's a great driver, but I feel like he's, turning the laps, putting himself through all the paces, doing the best that he can. He's shown that he is a very solid rookie driver. And he is continuing to build on that. So, yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see him in victory lane next year.
Yeah. But would you predict it?
Would I predict it? I think, given the number of road courses, I think I would feel comfortable putting him on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I could do that.
Okay. I think he will too. I mean, his experience is gaining, and he's driving for Gibbs. So, it's...
Yeah, so we'll have good cars, right? That's not the issue. And he is a very intelligent driver, and he's clearly a great road course racer. So, yeah, I feel like you put all those things together, even though he's young, he's mature. And so, yeah, he can get it done. I believe that.
Yeah, he's pretty tenacious. All right. Now, we also had, other notables. Ryan Blaney didn't do crap, even though he stayed out a little bit. Brad Keselowski, who fell out of the playoffs and got passed by Tyler Reddick for Reddick to stay in. Ultimately, people thought that was going into this race kind of what was very likely to happen. And when you're looking at qualifying and you're seeing that Reddick's on the pole and Brad Keselowski is nowhere in sight, you're thinking, yeah, this could be the end of the road for Brad. And I felt bad because, he just seemed like that underdog a la Ryan Newman from back in the day, that was just putting good finishes together without a win and sort of advancing and surviving. But Brad couldn't do it. He couldn't survive that one. So
he ended up shooting himself in the foot. Not like he had obviously we knew he was an underdog anyway with not as good of a road course racer, but I don't remember what lap it was, but I know Stenhouse had that problem early. I believe it was a toe link that busted. And then BK had a penalty for blowing the chicane and a pass-through penalty. And that's just devastating. There were a few guys, Rockenfeller had one, Almirola had one. There are a couple guys that got burned by that, but that just, obviously it's not necessarily going to destroy you, but man, that's going to put a huge dent in your day. And I feel like he just couldn't overcome that.
Yep.
Didn't have a chance.
Yep. I don't know what NASCAR is going to do to try and... I don't know that NASCAR can do anything about the way this car is performing on road courses, though, because it drives a lot better on road courses because it's built for it with the wider tires and the independent rear suspension and all the other things they do with this car. But I'll be damned, it does not produce any passing on a road course. So not only do they need the stage brakes, but they need to figure something out. Willy put the old tires on it.
Yeah, there's that. And then I will say, Kyle Larson could pass. You could pass.
I'm not saying...
Ross Chastain was passing, but
you don't get
fresh tires.
The problem is you don't get mistakes.
Right. Yeah, there's not as... And the mistakes, are, I guess, a bit more forgiving, and the car just doesn't get out of shape as much because it's not as stiff over the the bumps, and you're not breaking traction as easily, I guess you'd say. So there's just a lot of reasons. It's
well, I mean, and then again, the 11 would make a bunch of mistakes this weekend.
Yeah, but you know what though, I will say something that I was thinking about as to why we did get the cautions we did in this race with some of the issues and the accidents and all that. The Roval has less margin for error and tighter racing conditions than pretty much any other road course, with the exception of the Chicago street race. And I think that's something else we learned about the way these road courses need to be set up if they want to have drivers making more mistakes and have more reasons for cautions and things like that, is like you can't be giving these guys tons of runoff room and space to play with, because all that does is lead to green flag racing nonstop. So I think it's good when, there's risky areas with the wall and stuff like that where they, accidents can happen. I mean, I think that's what you need. And some sprinklers, Willie.
And throw some oil on the track like Watkins Glen.
That's right. That's all you got to do. To your point, Checky, Chastain was driving up through the field there at the end, but he had fresh tires. He pitted at the end, and he was, I would say the old Ross came out for that run, and he was just, he was driving right through people. I mean, he wasn't wrecking anybody, but it seemed like he was rubbing people every single pass.
For sure. Yeah, I was surprised. I definitely had an eye on him because he was one I was like, oh, whoa, man, he's passing again. And he was just mowing them down. It was definitely impressive. Obviously, it worked out for him, brought home a P10 finish, but not quite enough to help him move forward.
Yeah, I would say it was that combined effect of, like, he was faster because of the fresher tires. He was also driving it as hard as he possibly could. And the spotters see that stuff, and they start telling guys as he comes up on them, like, hey, this one car is not waiting on anybody, and you're going to get hit. So that starts contributing to some of the passes as well, just as people start realizing he's not going to be real patient. But hopefully one thing he learned this year was, he had a little bit more respect, I guess, in the bank after minding his P's and Q's earlier, this season for the last several races. So it would seem that, the drivers that he used up a little bit probably were not as mad at him as they would have been if he didn't change how he was driving this year.
Yeah, I'm glad he made that change. And to figure out that you're going to win more, not necessarily win the race, but you're going to win more positions that way in the end, right? You're not going to take the same level of risk. You're going to be likely to finish the race. Your percentage for making those points is going to go up, and you're not going to piss everybody off in the meantime. You just can't continue to race like that, right? And the other guys were clearly intolerant. And so obviously he did the best thing he could have done in that situation. Just run your race, be patient, all that good stuff.
Yep. So having said that, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Bubba.
Bye-bye.
They're all out along with Brad. And this is where we're now to the point where the intensity and every single spot counting really, really picks up for these last 8 drivers. Willie, have you looked at the oh, my computer's talking back to me.
It is.
Willie,
what did it say?
I don't know. Alexa, shut up.
Damn, you messed up all our millions of listeners to Alexis right there.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Alexa's everywhere. Feel offended.
Yeah.
All right, I did it again, didn't I? All right, so Willie, I was wondering, did you break out the point standings and sip your whiskey and peruse them yet, or no?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, the top 8.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because what does it say is the lead that William Byron has over the cutoff, Willie?
Plus 20.
Only 20 points for William Byron over the cutoff. So and I believe Truex is plus 15. So
Right.
that it's crazy right now because there's so many playoff points to go around between the guys that are left. There's just not that much separation between anybody. So
Blaney, 8th place is minus 10 on the cutoff.
Exactly. So it's truly up in the air right now as far as anybody can make this thing happen if they run good enough in these next 3 races. Because you got to think, even if all 3 of these races are won by guys that are in the top 8, you're guaranteed to have at least one spot in on points into the championship round. So I do like the way that works out. So they're all thinking it's viable to be that one guy that's in on points, depending on, stage points and how they do. So you got to at least set yourself up for that possibility. But I think, we could easily have 2 guys in on points in the final race here. So the points are going to definitely be important. I can't say that I'm feeling super confident about Martin Truex, except for the fact that they can only do better. They can't do worse. So, but now's the time. There's no more skating by.
I got a trivia. You're always busting out trivia on us. I'm gonna bust out one on you. When was the last time Truex had a top 15?
That would have been whatever was before Daytona.
I think I saw it was August 20th.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the weekend before Daytona.
No kidding.
Yeah, he hasn't.
That's wild. And obviously, all those his regular season obviously helped get him to where he is, because here he is with those dismal finishes, and he's still got plus 15 heading into this last set of races before the championship. So crazy. It's just wild to see that he has that buffer. Boy, he's going to have to step it up, obviously. I was thinking as I look at these points earlier today, I was looking at them and I'm like, who is going to break through? Like, if you think about the top 4, the way they stand, Byron, MTJ, Hamlin, Larson, who's going to knock any of those guys out? And although I feel extremely compelled that someone is going to move forward, I don't feel comfortable getting rid of any of those guys. I don't know. Oh, this is really hard, really hard. And obviously my championship 4 is shaken up because Bush is out and I had him in there. But
I will say, I mean, I feel like I was going to say, and I think you're making this point. This top 8 in this particular year, like with these 8 guys and the way their seasons have been going, it does feel like sort of the most contended or just most competitive final 8 that we've had that I can think of. I don't remember looking down the list of 8 guys and thinking every single one of them has a clear ability to be in this top 4. And it probably is going to come down at least for 2 or 3 guys to mistakes, if not more, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's a good tracks like Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville. That's where there's no flukes there.
Yeah, and I mean you gotta figure it lends itself to Byron and Hamlin. These 3 tracks. Beyond that, I mean,
I would think MTJ, but not with the way he's been running.
No, I'm saying based on what we've been seeing, I could say Byron, Hamlin, and maybe Reddick, but everybody else, it's like, nah, we'll see what happens. I mean, really. Hamlin's had speed every week. Byron's been right there. And we're just going to have to see, what happens, especially with stage points. I mean, I hope they're going to be out there. If you got a chance to collect stage points in these next 2 races, you better darn well get it. Try to set yourself up for what you need going into Martinsville. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And did y'all look at the change to the owners' point standings?
No, but I did hear a little bit about it in that MTJ's out?
Yeah, Truex fell out of the owners' championship, and Chase Elliott is still in. Chase Elliott's in the top 8 in the owners' championship, so that story is staying alive.
I hope he wins it. That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious if he won a championship and he doesn't get the trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about that, I think, on BBC, just in terms of the championship and how NASCAR would hate it if there was a non-playoff winner to win Phoenix. And so you have a race winner, you have a championship winner, and then you have a like points champion. You know what I mean? Like, and how that would like NASCAR
Triple
would hate that. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't particularly mind that. I mean, that's fine because you celebrate each for what it is. But I guess I can see that would ruffle some NASCAR feathers. But
Yeah,
it wouldn't bother me at all.
The ideal finishing order at Phoenix is Harvick, then Martin Truex, then Chase Elliott. There's your triple burnout.
That would be awesome.
It truly would be.
Harvick's last race.
Yep.
Truex wins the championship, and then Chase Elliott takes the money.
And we didn't talk about this, but we essentially did. When Dinger brings home that race this weekend, it's a non-playoff driver, right? And we're so accustomed to just expecting the playoff driver to win, right? As we move through these rounds of playoffs, it's inevitable. It feels like that somebody's going to kind of burst that bubble, but we're just so accustomed to it, especially when it comes to Phoenix. When you have essentially the top, unless someone has a mistake or some kind of random issue, like you're expecting them almost to finish like boom, 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 right in a row, right? That's just kind of the way it seems to work out. But I kind of like the shakeup. Obviously I like all the other cars competing just as much, for their spot in the track. So yeah, I would be all open to all that kind of chaos at the race. Bring it on.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna continue to be interesting, and Vegas is, after people really saw how important Vegas was for Logano winning the championship last year.
Oh yeah.
You better believe that all these teams are throwing everything they got at this car for Vegas. That's for sure. And
so if you have to, and this is a little early, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we can hold on this question until the end. If you have to pull somebody out of your top four, are you pulling MTJ out? Hoppy, who are you pulling out of there to make room for? In my mind, the two top contenders are Busch and Reddick. Not just because they have the most points, but I mean, just I feel like those are the strongest two out of that other four to really be a significant threat over the course. So, what are you guys thinking?
Well, for me, my original prediction for the Final Four at the very start of the season was Bell, Byron, Larson, Reddick at the start of the year.
Okay.
Then
there you go.
But then I changed it to Byron, Truex, Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski.
Oh no.
So yeah, and I don't really see Bell making it. But of course it could definitely happen. It's not going to be shocking for any of these guys to be in there, but I mean, it certainly looks like, I think if you ask most people believe you're going to see Byron, Hamlin, Larson, and probably Reddick is who most people would pick right now. But that's going to change a lot with each race.
So Buescher's the dark horse, and folks are going to be picking him. I've been hearing, I think it was Dale Jarrett even said he picked him to make it into the final round. So.
Yeah, now each of us in the chain gang, we made revised Final Four predictions at the start of the playoffs, and we have each lost one person from the Final Four. I lost BK. Checky, you lost Lame Gano from your prediction.
No, I lost FKB.
I must have written it backwards for you guys. So Willy lost Lame Gano, and you lost KFB. Must be what happened. Because Checky, I had down that Willy had Byron, Martin Truex, KFB, and Larson. Was that yours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want to have Kyle in there, but I didn't want to have both Kyles. I wanted to have Larson. I didn't want to have FKB, but I took him anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see how much what we all have in common is William Byron. And I will say also, can you really think of too many instances this year where William Byron had bad luck or bad things happen? I can't. I mean, I guess there's been maybe a race here or there, but
yeah.
He was on TV wearing that stupid big ass hat.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need for instant karma. We need some big ass hat to get onto the track and him to hit it and ruin his race.
And say we can't have that again, just for principle. We can't have it.
No more big ass hats allowed. I can't take it anymore.
But Hendrick had his own special one with an H on it. You didn't like that one?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the khaki colored one with the H he wears.
Yeah.
Oh.
He had a big ass one made like that.
Did it make him look a little more slender? Is that why? Because that could take off a few pounds, right? You have a big old hat. Same. Something to think about.
No, but he did this weekend. He did have on the black sweater vest over the white collared shirt.
Yeah, and your kid gave him a high five.
Yeah, we had an up front view for the sweater vest. It was in full effect. Now I will say the weather was appropriate, I guess, for it, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't need any special permission to break out the sweater vest.
Well, you're flying around that helicopter. It gets cold up there.
Yeah, that must be what it is. Now let's tackle the Hendrick related headline to this, which is Jeff Gordon going on record saying that he doesn't want any of his drivers building their brands like Denny Hamlin with his podcast because that's too controversial.
Yeah.
He only he eats vanilla ice cream with no top. He goes to Ben & Jerry's and says, "Give me vanilla, no toppings,
sugar free."
In a cup. He doesn't even want a cone.
No cone. Yeah, no waffle cone.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And put a sweater vest on it.
I understand why Jeff Gordon said this, and it makes total sense. If you look at their stable of drivers, William Byron, Alex Bowman. Now, I'm not going to throw Kyle Larson in that mix because Kyle is off running dirt races and doing his dirt racing thing.
Does Bowman runs dirt too? Well, he's not breaking his back.
He needs not to because of shit like that. Kyle needs to keep on running, doing his thing. So that's Kyle's brand. He brings excitement and, kind of brings all of the racing crowd together. Everybody loves some Kyle Larson. Well, maybe not everybody, but I think most people do. He's running his own different brand, but everybody else is just under the radar, quiet. Like if you think about Dingers, and you referenced this Hoppy a little bit ago, his emotion, like, without a doubt, that guy is thrilled beyond belief to win that race. He is crying, he is yelling, he is so excited and unapologetic about it, which I think is amazing, regardless of the comments that I heard in our section about him being a crybaby and kind of like Mendo cry. I'm like, come on, man, this is a huge, you see football players cry all the time in big games with the losses or just overcome with emotion. Eat it up, right? William Byron, when he wins a race, right? I remember seeing this little fist bump, and now he smiles and he's got the big hat, but it's just, come on, man, give me something, right? And so I am not the biggest Denny Hamlin fan, but I appreciate him for what he is. And he's going about it a different way than Kyle Busch. To me, he's a different kind of villain than Kyle Busch is, totally, and one that I can get more on board with. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I like what he's doing, and I'm there for it. And I also love his podcast. It is incredibly educational and enjoyable. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Willy?
Well, I'm going to say, yes, I mean, it makes sense from if you're DuPont, you don't want your driver saying crazy stuff, but from a fan's point of view, now you want controversy. It's, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be like WWE, but you want drivers causing problems.
Yeah.
I guess I would just say backbone. You know what I mean? Like someone, and not that Alex isn't. I mean, Alex has been in a little bit of controversy in terms of standing up for himself, so to speak. But I just don't that Denny's going to give some shit back, or he'll talk back, he'll do whatever. We just want to know that in the situation, not all situations, but when push comes to shove, your driver's going to like give it back. You know what I mean? He's not going to be a doormat. He's not
Yeah, no, definitely. And I get what you're saying about Hendrick happens to hire these drivers who don't show much personality. I think that is also true. But the short-sightedness of Gordon saying that is so like ridiculous when you look at what world we're living in now. I mean, we're living in a world of user-generated content. People, are listening to freaking podcasts and doing social media and engaging with people and fans. Fans are engaging with stars in ways like never before. And to me, this is why it's so hard for the old guard to age out, because the old guard, Rick Hendrick, picks somebody like Jeff Gordon and tailors him in his image. So just because you got people like Rick Hendrick and Penske, would be the first two I would think of that would, say that this is how things should be. Then you also have people like Denny with 2311, and you've got people like Justin Marks at Trackhouse that I can see, taking things in a different direction, and encouraging drivers to create their own content empire. I mean, do they really need to look any further than what Dale Jr.'s done with Dirty Mo Media? And I mean, come on, he's building a freaking media empire. Dale Jr. has, just by starting the podcast initially. So I think Hamlin's smart to get in on that. He sees where stuff is going. He sees what Dale Jr. has been able to do. And if I was a driver, I'd be all over it, because, I mean, why not build your own brand on top of all the, of what you're getting? Or for Truex, I guess you just go out in the woods.
Yeah. And I think Denny, like, to Jeff's point, I agree that I feel like exacerbates, encourages, maybe is a little bit more outspoken about things than he might be otherwise. Just a little, though. You know what I mean? I still feel like it's authentic. He just maybe pushes the envelope just a touch more. And with regard to Denny's penalties, and I don't always get a chance to listen to his podcast until after we're done with ours, but I did get to hear his today. And I just thought, especially as he was talking about the schedule, like, I feel like somebody's going to have a problem with some of the things he said. So he's going to be in trouble over the next couple of weeks. He really needs to watch that.
Yep. Well, how many winners did that make it on the season? Was that 14 winners now we've had? Or?
No, that was a new one, right?
Yeah.
Really doesn't want to talk about
I'm not going to have to eat 12 raw eggs. We know this.
It's not looking good for those of us who were cheering for Willy to down a dozen raw eggs with 19 winners this year. Doesn't look like we're going to have 19 winners this year. It's unlikely.
Just one more disappointment in our year of disappointing picks.
Yeah. We had some good ones. We'll have a respectable predictions wrap-up episode at the end of this year, I feel.
For sure.
All right. So I had one other news item here, which was talking about the new schedule in more detail here, which we already touched on, the Roval that will be an oval come next year. That's one prediction I've got. But the biggest issue I have with this new schedule, beyond everything that I already mentioned, is why in the hell did they do away with Daytona as the cutoff race for the regular season?
What is it
and
now?
Why it's Darlington, which I love.
But Darlington is the best track.
It is a great track, and I love it. It doesn't bring Hoppy the chaos that he wants.
Oh, it totally defeats the purpose of, because now what is Daytona got? Daytona used to be at least July 4th celebration. Okay, so it's not that. Now it's just, hey, we're going to Daytona. It's not the cutoff race. It's not the 4th of July. It's just August fucking 24th. I don't understand it. Like, why?
It's the Labor Day thing, right? That was,
yeah.
And Hamlin touched on that, which I certainly appreciate, because if you're going to have it on Sunday, again, I'm all about Saturday night races. I understand that you will run into some clashes if you're up against other local races, if you're running against college football. Like, I understand there's always going to be something that's competing. There's nothing wrong with some Saturday night action.
That's what she said. Now, I think
she did say that.
Honestly, I don't like Saturday night races because then on Sunday, like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Well, yeah, that too.
You're supposed to sleep off your hangover, Willie.
but no. And plus I go to bed at 9:00.
The only way that all of this makes sense is through the prism of the temporary cluster created by the Olympics next year, because we go to the Brickyard 400 and run the oval there on July 21st, and then we don't race again until August 11th, which is going to be very difficult time in our lives.
Well, you can watch the Olympics.
We do like the Olympics. Go USA.
You can cheer. Where are they going to be? Is it Qatar?
It's Paris, isn't it?
Paris.
Yes.
So we got those 2 weeks there, and that jacked with some things, and they were committed to keeping the Southern 500 on Labor Day weekend with Darlington, which I get. So now but I feel like what they should say when they just drop the schedule like this is they should explain some shit like that, and they should be like, well, I mean, I probably don't want to pre-commit to anything, but when the 2025 schedule comes out, we better have Daytona back on that cutoff race. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Would it make you feel any better, Hoppy, if Atlanta was swapped with Daytona? Would that make a difference to you?
If Daytona got to kick off the playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
But I mean, that is an interesting question.
Just curious. I mean, obviously it's not the same, but and I'll be honest. So like as I look at and I'm glad we're talking about it because Watkins Glen, we talked about like road course in the playoffs, and that's a great one. But here's the thing, and they made a good point when they talked about it on Denny's podcast. School is in session up there as soon as Labor Day rolls around. Then kids are going back to school right after that. That's going to be a problem. They had it nestled right in August, which is a great time for families. And that place is a packed house, right? They load it up with campers, and you can roam through the infield. It's a great setup. People have a great time there. I'm really genuinely curious of what kind of impact that is going to have.
On Watkins Glen specifically?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes for a very interesting first round. I mean, you got Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol. And I thought Denny Hamlin was going to burst a vein today on his podcast complaining about Atlanta being the first race of the playoffs. I mean, I'm good with it because if you watch these Atlanta races we've had so far, there's definitely, been wrecks, but it's not like there's been a bunch of big ones taking out half the field. We haven't had like at Daytona and Talladega where at Atlanta only like 8 cars are finishing without damage. We haven't seen anything like that there. It's been intense pack style racing. The track is already aging. So I think Denny Hamlin overreacted to Atlanta kicking off the playoffs, if you ask me. I think the bigger problem is why the hell they put Atlanta as the second race of the year. And I get why, Denny said it on his podcast. He was like, they want people to watch Daytona that are first time viewers for the Daytona 500 and then see Atlanta right after that because it's like, quote, similar style of racing. I get that, but I think that's just, it's probably, I guess they can prove that out if they think and they compare it to years past in terms of ratings and fall off and new viewers and stuff like that. But I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it to me to put, Atlanta in February. I thought we already tried that with Atlanta.
We already had Atlanta in March, and it's still like it snowed there.
Well, there's also the people, like a lot of people, snowbirds from the north. Let's say you take your RV you're from New Jersey, you take your RV to Daytona. Well, Atlanta, it's on the way back.
Yeah.
If you're a true snowbird, you're not coming back north yet because it's still fucking cold up there, Will.
Well, you're definitely not. Most people are definitely not going to Daytona and then heading out for the West Coast swing. So,
true.
I get that. That's a decent point, Willie. I hadn't thought of that, but it's still Atlanta in February, like.
Yeah, it's going to be awful. It's just like Rockingham. or the same. I mean, Atlanta has the potential to be a teeny bit warmer, but not really. Let's be real. At that particular day, it's oh. I mean, I actually thought about, I'm not. I don't want to go there. Like
I think what they should personally, I think what they should do is they should start the year off with Daytona and then go straight to Homestead, Miami, and run Miami second race of the year, and then go out on your West Coast swing.
That's not a bad idea. I can see why they don't want to do it, even though you would probably get a lot of people to stay, except that if they're staying for just speed weeks in general down there, there's a whole lot of racing. It's just another week to tack on, and would people be able to do it? So yeah, I don't know. That'd be an interesting experiment though. And since they're into experimenting, why the hell not give it a try?
Yeah. Now the other thing that I'm not digging about the way this schedule starts out is they've got a little run of races in here. So of course there's no more California Speedway next year. So the West Coast swing is just Las Vegas and Phoenix. But then we go to on March 17th, Bristol, then Circuit of the Americas for a road course, then Richmond, then Martinsville. Why the hell do we need 4 weeks in a row of the schedule that are all three of our short tracks and a road course for 4 weeks straight? It just seems like they could break that shit up better than that.
We've talked about that before with the short tracks because we generally covet them so much and you smash them up, boom, 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 right together. It's really frustrating because then you're bouncing around doing these other things. Now, I will say that's when short track racing was actually short track racing, and we haven't been as enthused about the product, which I'm still optimistic that next year will be better. Yeah, I agree. It's tough to sandwich all those in there. But I will say I'll give a little silver lining for Martinsville is that it's right next to my birthday again, which makes
there you go. Now, do y'all like how they basically capitulated on the whole like Easter dirt race thing by basically what they did was they were like, all right, we're still going to race on Easter and we're still going to do it at 7:00 on Sunday night, but we'll give it to Richmond because nobody gives a shit about that race right now anyway.
And we also didn't we put Bristol. Oh, by the way, it's St. Patrick's Day. So if you thought Bristol was a party before, you just wait.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, they were basically like, we're not giving up Easter primetime racing. We're just giving it to Richmond. And that's not going to help their case there for ratings much. They're just like, as long as there's cars on a track in that time slot on TV, they're checking the box. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, notice they didn't release any times. That'd be a whole nother conversation that we would have to get into.
They didn't release any times?
Well, I'm not seeing, and what I'm looking at right now, I don't see any times.
Oh, no, all the times are up.
Right. Oh, okay. The graphic I have.
They're mostly 3:00 races, a few 3:30s. The Iowa race that's making its debut on the schedule, that's a 7 p.m. Sunday race.
And is there a day off next year?
I don't know. What is June? I don't think it's anything special. Because it says the Iowa race is on Sunday at 7:00 at night, and it's June 16th.
Is that like Father's Day?
Oh, maybe is that Monday, Juneteenth holiday or something? Maybe that's a holiday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's possible. But yeah, so the Iowa race is going to be at 7:00 at night on a Sunday. And yeah, the Chicago street race is at 4:30 p.m. That's supposed to start at Eastern time. So we'll be back there. But yeah, there's some stuff I don't love for sure. And then you've got basically the rest of the playoffs are completely unchanged. That's the other issue I have with this is like they shook up the start of the playoffs, the cutoff of the regular season, the first round, but they didn't change a damn thing about the final 7 races of the year.
Yeah.
And we all know that Phoenix does not need to be hosting the championship any longer.
The drivers, who did what?
Was that?
Yeah. I'll go back to Homestead, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I think people would welcome Homestead back as the championship race. Most people would. But I mean, hell,
for sure.
Why? I mean, at this point, I'm like, hell, make Vegas the final race. Throw a fucking party. They used to have the championship celebration or the end of year celebration at Vegas.
Or Martinsville. We just got to get rid of Phoenix. It's too much.
Well, we know they'll
They'll
never make
do well.
Martinsville a championship race.
They
I'm trying to
could.
be realistic
You never
here.
know.
No, but why couldn't it be Vegas? It seems like that Vegas is, it's got the weather, it's got the scene, like it's got the good racing right now. I mean, hell, they should have mixed it up a little bit. I don't remember who owns what. Maybe that makes a difference between the tracks that NASCAR owns versus the tracks that SMI owns. I think doesn't actually that would explain it. SMI owns Vegas, but NASCAR owns Phoenix. So that's the other wrinkle in this. Okay. Anybody else have anything on this schedule?
I was gonna say let's do the good race poll and predict next week. It looks things are wrapping up. My parents looks like they're getting ready to go to bed.
All right, Willy's got bedtime, and yeah, this has been a long one, so we'll get to a conclusion here swiftly. Roval good race poll. I have no freaking idea, but I'm glad I don't have to pick first because Checky won last week by picking on the right side of our guesses there for Dega. So Checky, you're just gonna have to first guess on this is first loser, I think. So go right ahead.
That's okay. All right. I will happily take my stab. I'm just going to throw out a number because that's what I feel like. 82-2.
Wow, you're going. Well, wow. Okay.
Well, I mean, I know you said the other one was like 19. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of good action, drama, playoff.
Yeah, the last one was.
Tension.
Last one.
Yeah. 82-2. That's where I'm in. Like it or not, I don't care.
Okay. It's been the longest, actually, since I won one of these things. So, Willy, you're up next.
All right. So, in honor of my ex-wife, I was thinking 66.6.
Because she's a beast, Willy.
Yeah. With no soul.
Yeah. All right. Wow. You've left me a lot to work with here. And I do think Checky is too high because I think there's a lot of people who feel like the Roval has ran its course. I also feel like there's a lot of people that are looking to complain about the quality of racing on the road courses. You got a whole other set of people that think like they didn't want stage cautions back. So you got all these weird things playing into people thinking whether it's a good race or not. However, fan favorite, Dinger with the win, holding off, on those restarts, lots of restarts at the end. I don't know how it actually played out on TV, but it had to be somewhat exciting. So I'm going to go with a 73.1.
Whoa, I just checked it. 58.8.
Oh!
What the hell?
As well as 12 hours ago, 11 hours ago.
Get your collective heads out of your asses.
Go vote yes, Chucky.
Well, I will, but fuck, come on.
Wow.
I should take no stock in this shit. Like, come on.
I think Gluck guessed like 50 or something. So I'm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people that just don't like the Roval are going to vote no matter what.
Yeah, I didn't think it would pull it down that much, given the quality of the finish and whatnot, but. I don't know. I also am wondering how it came across on TV. Oh, you know what we forgot about? Dale Jr. was home with a fever. That definitely affected
I did remember that as you were yapping about things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Forgot about the Dale Jr. factor. All right. So now let's see if we can actually predict a winner before this year is over with. We are on we're on a long losing streak, but luckily not as long of a losing streak as Willy.
And how many times did I pick Dinglings? And then I didn't pick Dinglings this week, and I picked Chase Elliott, which would have won if it wasn't for Coeur d'Alene.
To answer your question, Willy, you have picked a 16 car at 3 other road courses this year.
I should have. I can't. Damn it.
All right, but
okay,
Willy, you got first pick of Vegas. I feel like there's an obvious one here, but you go for it, big dog.
Yeah, there's an obvious one, but when has Willie T. Hadley ever picked a good pick?
I think you picked a couple times, a couple good ones that were actually like, wow, A drivers.
For some reason, I'm wanting to say Bubba.
What?
Really? Are you being serious?
Give me fucking Bubba Wallace.
Okay. Is that like a redemption win, huh? Okay. Wow.
No, that's he's got whiskey pick.
How much has he been drinking on stop all day?
I mean, my
ice
water
or no
ice,
Willie? Jesus.
Oh, you whiskey pick bastard. All right. Who's up next? That's Checky. No.
Well,
That's me.
Okay, go ahead, Hoppy. I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going?
I do. I'm pretty sure. Go ahead. Tell me who you got.
I mean, now you're making me second guess myself.
If you don't pick the 5, you're not picking the best car.
I am taking the 11.
Oh, wow. Okay, then I don't know where you're going. All right.
Yeah, Checky got in my head and made me change it. What do you got, Checky?
Okay, now who were you going to pick? Because I know where I'm going, but.
I was going to say the 24 because I think that's the clear favorite. Yeah. But I thought I would put you in a tough spot trying to pick between the 24 and the 5, but we all know you're just going to take the 5.
100%. Yeah, no question. I mean, the only reason I wasn't is if one of you guys picked him. Yeah, for sure. I'm going with Kyle Larson. I don't care who anyone else says is the best driver. I've got faith. Bring it home, lock it in. And then if something bad happens after that, then it's okay.
Seems like every week, Checky, it's either Larson or Bubba in victory lane, doesn't it?
Right.
Thanks for the entertainment value, Willie. All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground. Checky, if you want to go super accelerated on any other headlines, let's be respectful of Willie's bedtime.
I will speed read the headlines. Keep up, fast forward, pause it, whatever you guys need to do. Chase Elliott reached the 5,000 mark in career laps led as of Sunday's race. We do need to hear, before we go, Willie has to tell us about how he was hearing the race broadcast ahead of the radio. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
Time travel.
I might mention my scissor issues. Shout out to my neighbors next to where we parked at the Roval. Nice folks. I didn't get everybody's name, but remembering Ed and Eric and everyone was really nice. Thanks for the shot of moonshine. Appreciate that. Set the race off on the right foot. And I think they're going to be listening to the podcast. So thanks, guys. Let's see. We'll cuss Ticketmaster another time. We'll circle around back to that. Congrats to Bobby Labonte for winning this weekend's Smart Modified Tour race at Tri-County Speedway. Chicago Street Race, we talked about that a little bit. NASCAR put out information that said $108.9 million was created in terms of financial impact, and $23.6 million total media value for the city of Chicago. That's pretty good. I guess that's maybe why they agreed to have us back reluctantly. Ernie Elliott was named the 2023 Smokey Yunick Award recipient. Elliott is known for being the power behind the engines of one of NASCAR's most respected racing families. There you have it, folks.
Mm-hmm. The one headline I was wondering if you would catch, which I did not hear, Checky, is iRacing getting the exclusive rights to make a console game for NASCAR in 2025.
I guess I thought we talked about that already, but maybe we just talked about it and not on the podcast. Okay.
Yeah, not on the podcast. Yeah,
iRacing is not compatible with a fucking console controller.
What if they did iRacing and just left it at that? You know what I mean? Like the little and sign after it?
This is bullshit.
All the other stuff we put up with, and that's the thing that you draw the line at?
I mean, because you can't drive a real car with a controller. You'd crash in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will still use a steering wheel attachment for their console. But there's no doubt that it's going to be a lot better with iRacing working on it than anybody else. So it's the way it needs to be.
What? You're endorsing this crap?
Yes.
He waffled. He's a waffler. He changed sides.
What the hell?
All right, Willie, sleep it off. We'll let you get to it. And I know Willie's not going to work too hard this week because he's on vacation. Go forth and be fast, Willie. Checky, don't work too hard this week. I won't. And before you know it, it'll be time to gamble and roll the dice in Vegas, baby.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks to our listeners.
All right. We did it.
Let me see the track. Don't let them smoke in my way. That's what it takes to make a race driver stay. We have a hot charger. That's all I am. Just let me be a hard charger. Stay on the gas.
Go on a rant how they don't give you bags.
Yeah. At the Roval this Sunday, we saw both hard-boiled and regular eggs.
Along with the regular green one.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all ready?
Oh, yeah.
Let's roll.